Okay. Okay, everyone. Welcome to Photoshop session 5. How is everyone today?
Can I
Good.
ask a quick? Oh,
I just want to go over so before we get started with questions or anything, we'll get into that in 1 minute, Robin. Um, I just uploaded a Wings demo zip pack here. You'll see it in the chat. And I thought it would be helpful if I just included that before the lesson. So then if you want to follow along or try to follow along, you'll have all the images there already, at least the attendees of this class. Does everybody see that right there? The wings demo.zip. Let me just type in because it took a little while to upload, so I started uploading it before people jumped on. So if you
I don't.
don't see it, you don't see it?
I just see here, but I
That's
don't
all.
Okay.
see
Yeah, I
the
see
zip
here. I
file.
don't see it.
Okay, that's interesting. It must not show until everyone's live and on the call. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm just going to navigate to where it is on my computer and we're going to reload it there.
Do you know if because I'm using my iPad and then my computer, do you know if there's a way that I can then download it from this onto my computer? Like,
You should be able to put it directly on your iPad, I believe.
okay.
I
And then I
don't
should be able
usually
to
work with
airdrop.
an iPad, but I do. I've sent my daughter files on her iPad before while she was using Procreate, and it worked. Like you can unzip files, but you're using Photoshop on your iPad?
No, I just have Zoom on my iPad and then I'm using Photoshop on my computer just because my computer is quite old
Okay.
and slow. And so I have Zoom on my iPad so it doesn't slow down the processor on my computer because I barely have enough specs as it is.
Okay. Yeah, you should be able to like airdrop it to
Got it?
yourself or
Okay.
something.
Yeah, that
That's
sounds
what
good.
I would do. Okay. So it's about loaded there. While that's loading, I think somebody fell off. There were 5 of us. Sarah fell off. I know she's I think she's in Nicaragua, and she said she can sometimes have spotty um service. So let's give her a minute. Give me a second. Okay. So does anybody have any questions before we get started? I know there were a few things on the Facebook group, but I think they kind of all got resolved.
I
I
have a
do.
question, Lori. I think it was Mary Ellen.
Okay.
Sorry, it's been like a crazy few days, but somebody posted something about the blurring, right? Was that Mary Ellen? Did you post some asking a question about to blurring
The
something? I
feathering,
can't
The
remember.
feathering.
feathering.
Feathering, blurring. But you're gonna
Yeah.
work on that today, or I didn't even read if you commented, Lori, so my apologies, and I can go back
It's
and look at that.
okay.
But I
It's
just yeah,
it's
because
fine.
so the project I've got a bunch of things I'm working on that I haven't put on. It's like you were saying, you sort of go back and you work on these whatever. I'm just kind of I'm going through all the different things. And for me personally, like I have to go through like the lesson a few times to really feel comfortable with and then going back and just doing it. Like my brain is kind of that way. So one
Mhm.
of the things I was working on was the blurring, which is so I have and I don't know if I could bring it up, but I was just going to explain to you. I have the circles, the layered circles where you can kind of do a 90 degree and you kind of create these. But how do you like blend? Is it a blending or, or blurring?
I would say
And
blending.
okay, like a blend. So there's not a hard circle on that
Yeah.
background. So sort of being able to
Okay.
blend. And because I've been able to, is that the blending I'm doing? Sorry.
So now we went over feathering and then we
Right.
went over kind of fading and blending using the
Yes.
eraser tool with a soft
Okay,
brush.
Yes,
And
and
then
that's what I've
there's
used.
also there's a feathering effect. And I could see how you would call it blurring, if you want to like blur an edge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I kind of think I associate the word blur with like blurring out the whole thing to kind of like
Sure.
make it look like
Yeah.
it's in the background or
Yes.
something. But I understand why you would say blurring. That makes sense too, because you want to blur the edge, right?
Right.
Um,
Right.
in this lesson with these wings, I'm actually going to get into a lot of the like how I do different like mask blends and gradient blends and how I kind of
Great.
make everything like really fade into one another with like multiple layers. So it's pretty much
Okay.
everything we've covered, but like with another level of complexity.
Okay.
So,
Great. Yeah, that's what I want to know because, when everything looks so like or concrete, where everything is like the circle, you can really see the circle, like being able to kind of blend that circle into the background. And, so I'm sort of like playing with that. And I've been playing with the different tools, and there's some really fun stuff to do, but it takes time, I mean, that's what you do,
it's
right? You have time.
it does take time. It absolutely takes time. That's one of the things that we all kind of have to embrace. It takes time and patience, and sometimes you think you remember something and then you have to go back and watch the video, and that's
Right.
completely normal, and it's really a part of
Okay.
the
Okay.
process. And yeah,
And
so
I'm
thank
enjoying
you.
it. Like I love it. I'm loving it.
Good.
Like I'm loving like I mean, for me personally, I've had some since that Pisces eclipse, some really symbolic things come to me in my
Okay.
life. And
Yeah.
so I've been intertwining it, and it's easy for me to kind of go into this dream, like a dream vision, So that's what I mean about bringing stuff in that's softening that. Like I have this
Mhm.
vision, but being able to put it on the screen and create it is a whole different ball game.
It is.
But
But
I love
that's
it
why we're
anyway.
here.
Yeah.
That's why
Anyway.
we're here
Yeah.
to refine those tools,
Yep.
and that knowledge. So when you have these visions and these ideas, you're going to be able to execute them.
Yeah.
And I like what you said about like the circle. I think it will be a great idea. Everyone can see my screen, right?
Mhm.
Like I think it will be a great idea to just go over a little bit more. Like we'll add a circle back here, and we'll do a couple of different things to make this to really demonstrate what we've gone over so far, and how I'm just gonna bring it into the next levels. Okay, Sarah, you dropped off for a second. Maria was just sharing some of her concerns around the feathering and like the blurring or blending of an edge, and I just kind of basically went over, we're gonna pretty much like tap into everything that we went over, but bring it into this more intricate and elaborate wing design and show how we can use all of these tools of blurring and blending, but just on like a more complex complex graphic or scale here with the wings. So that's where we're headed. Robin, I think you had a question.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's something that we're planning to go over, but I have this vision of creating you see these art pieces of people where, like, for example, someone's standing in front of a body of water, and then the reflection is not them, but it'll be like a wolf or something like that. I want to know how to do that because I really
Okay.
want to create some cool reflections, or like even if I have a piece where there's water and then a moon kind of mountainscape, but then I'm wanting to put the reflection on the water.
Okay.
I really want to know how to do that. So I'm just wondering if that's something we'll go over, if that's something that maybe is more specialized to go over in like the 1 hour thing
No,
that
I
we're going
think we
to
can
do.
I think we can tap into that. It's
Okay.
pretty, yeah. Thank you
Because
for
I,
asking.
yeah, I
I'd love to
put,
I
do
think
that too. Yeah.
okay. Oh, for sure. Well, we can definitely learn that.
thank
Maybe
you.
we'll even get it. Yeah, of course. Maybe we'll even get into it today. So I'll
Sweet.
go ahead and get started. And does everyone see that wings.demo.zip file right there? So it's 36 megs. If you want to download it, you can download it here and follow along. I want to basically just go over, okay, so like these wings, these special magical wings that I created from, I want to show you like in here, there's a butterfly wing. And I'm actually gonna go ahead and I'm gonna open all of the files and I'm gonna quickly navigate to them because I'm super organized. Um, all right, so I'm just gonna click on all of these at once and do open with Photoshop so they all pop up into my Photoshop here. With different tabs. Okay, so as you can see, this little part of it, this little guy's wing is part of the magical wings that we created. This wing is part of it. I don't know if I ended up using these two wings. Yes, this wing was the background. Their butterfly wing is even in there. So you can see like there's the butterfly wing. There's the hummingbird wing. I think this wing, I think I have in here a piece of this wing. This wing it may have gotten left out. But so how I started was, so I used my lasso tool and I would just go around and lasso just this wing because it's really the only part that I needed. And then I would Command C and Command V, and we'll just see how that falls in there.
Can
And
I ask a question quickly?
yeah, go ahead.
Do you recommend us using like opening up the Photoshop file and using the same background that you have? Because I didn't have time to create a background.
No, you don't have to.
Okay.
You don't have to. I think eventually you're going to create your own wings with even your own different birds and things that you
Okay.
find. Or it doesn't even necessarily have to be wings that you create. But if you want to follow along, you can use your own background. Like the idea is to
Well,
kind of develop your own style. And if you want to use this background, I think it's from Unsplash. If you search
I think I have.
Unsplash, you'll find it. A lot of people use it, like you'll see it. That's the thing with like using Unsplash sometimes is you'll start to see like pieces of the same images and you'll recognize oh, that's from Unsplash. That's why I also like to use Shutterstock and take my own photos because then that's like really stepping into originality when you take your own photos. Sometimes it's hard to take photos of animals though. Sometimes it's very hard to take photos of animals. Okay, I just want to, while I'm here, I just want to go over, because I gave this to you in pieces and you had the PSD and you can break it down and see it, but I really want to teach you all how to create stuff like this from scratch, right? So it's easy to just take the pieces that I've already masked out. But how would you do it if you were, if the pieces weren't masked out, if you didn't have them? So that's why I want to go over everything, even though it's a little bit mundane and repetitive. But every time I go over, I'll teach you a little more of a trick. So with this wing, I actually want to adjust the brightness and contrast a bit. I'm going to add a little more contrast and a little more brightness. And then I'm going to select subject. Oh, see, sometimes when you crop it out like that, it doesn't, let me see if that has, okay. So I'm going to use the magic wand tool for demonstration purposes. As you can see, when you use the magic wand tool, it does an okay job. See how it like left out that little bit? So I do actually use the magic wand tool a lot, and then I go in and refine it. And if you see that I just moved the tolerance down to 20 from 30, now it's going to pick up less and maybe it won't pick up as much. See how it left a little bit there? So I'm just going to try to get rid of this background the quickest way. And now again, if I really wanted to be like really precise with this edge, I would use the pen tool and I would mask it out and trace it. And that's my tool of preference. And wait, before I'm gonna that's my tool of preference. And again, that's gonna make all the difference in the detail of your artwork. So depending on how much time you spend on it. So I'm gonna just okay, so I'm gonna zoom in on it and you can see that it's just a little bit like janky, the edge. So I'm just taking the I'm taking the lasso tool and I'm just refining it by hand, just quickly. And I'm just kind of doing this for, again, for like demonstration purposes. But I would do this for like creating, if I were to be creating something outside of just a demonstration. So I'm hitting Option to add to this. And give me 1 second, Robin. I just want to show you. So I'm hitting Option. You can see that I'm adding, or I'm actually subtracting from it because I'm adding to this. And what I want to do is delete that. So then, okay. I'm just going to save that. So you can see by my quickly doing that, I just kind of fixed up the edge. And that's just like a quick way. Go ahead, Robin.
So I just want to know, I don't think I've actually used the magic wand tool and it looks amazing.
Okay.
But I'm curious, did you go from okay, actually, back up. On the toolbar, where is the magic wand tool with where would I find it?
It's the second row and on the right side. And you can
Oh,
refer to your tools. And I think we went over the magic wand tool a little bit on the first
yeah, I think for
lesson.
some reason my toolbar I had to like add it so it's never actually like visible. It's always at the bottom on these like three dots for some reason. So I think that's why I don't use it because I don't see it.
Okay.
But did you just go when you did the lasso? Did you just basically go directly from the magic wand tool to the lasso tool, and then you were just able to refine, like start refining it?
Okay. So let me explain that. Watch. So I'm going to select the outside of the wings, right? If I were to select with the magic wand tool, the inside of the wings, I would have to hit Shift to keep adding to the selection. The magic wand tool selects by color. Color tolerance is up here. So look, if I do 100 and then I just select, see how much more of it selects.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then I'm just going to hit Shift and keep hitting Shift until it selects all of it. And then the lasso tool. So if I wanted to, what I was doing, because the magic wand tool, the lasso tool, and the marquee tool, they all function on selecting part of a layer, right? So that's why you can use them in coordinates with one another. So for example, if I wanted to remove a circle, or if I wanted to like take out a chunk of a circle and say I wanted that to like, maybe I wanted the edge to be like that. So see how I was able to use the marquee tool to deduct from the selection by hitting
Yeah.
Command. And then you can also add to the selection by hitting Shift. Does that
Okay.
answer your question about how
Yeah.
I grabbed the lasso tool and added to it? Does it?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think I'll just have to play around because I learned from like doing. That's all. That's why I'm usually doing it while you're doing it. But yeah,
Absolutely.
I think once I play around, I'll get
Okay.
it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. You have to play around and then you'll start to see that. So I'm on the lasso tool, and when I hit Option, you'll see a little negative sign. And when I hit plus, you'll see or when I hit Shift, you'll see a little plus sign. So say I want to just take a little bit away from the edge to just kind of remove that little like unclean, jaggedy edge just by doing it in this shortcut way. I'm just taking option and just running down freehand and removing that. And it's just like slightly cleaning it up. And again, this is just one of many ways that we select and mask things. Remember, we use the select and mask tool. We use the pen tool. If you really wanted this clean and precise, we're going to use the pen tool. Okay, so now that I have this selected, I did a little bit of refining on that edge. So what I want to do is select the inverse. How do I select the inverse? Shift Command I, and then I want to delete. And if you see, I'm going to zoom in. If you see how I added a little or I took away a little from the selection, now when I hit delete, it's just going to clean it up a little bit, right? And that's just like one way to quickly get a wing or anything masked out. All right, so then I want to go. Robin, did you have another question or was that from before?
No, it was from before, I think. I'm just kind of trying.
But you do have another question.
I do. Do you know how? So I know in Photoshop you can customize so many different things. And I'm
Uh-huh.
just curious how I can get the magic wands tool to actually be in that like main area. Because I'm trying
I don't
to.
know. Let me see. See this little arrow? Do you
Yeah,
have your tools on 2 rows or one?
two.
Okay, so let's go down to where your magic wand tool is. Click and hold
Yeah,
and see a little box drops down that says
yeah.
object selection tool. Click on the magic wand tool
Okay.
and it should be there and it should stay there. Do you see it now?
It's there, but then for whatever reason, um, it'll go back to like I'm wanting to move where it is on the actual toolbar. Do you know what I mean?
You can't do that.
Oh darn, okay.
Yeah, like you can't to like rearrange the tools.
Because mine, like for whatever reason, I wish I could share my screen with you, but for
Yeah,
whatever
it's
reason, there's like okay, so on the bottom of your toolbar, see how there's the 3 dots there?
yeah.
So my magic wand tool, I have to press those 3 dots and then it shows up.
That's really weird. I'm not sure. I'm
Yeah.
looking right here in preferences. I've never moved tools around and I don't know how to answer that right now, but the only thing that I know is that there are preferences. And within the preferences, you can go into your tools. And here it's selected like maybe it's something in here, but I think
I'll
it's
Google it.
okay.
Because
There's
it's
edit toolbar. Okay, so you can do edit toolbar. So
yeah.
apparently you can. I would go to restore defaults.
That's what I've done before.
Oh, I
Um,
did it. I did it.
yeah,
Worked.
that's what I did before. I was going
Okay.
to tell you to restore because I've
Okay.
had that happen where something's disappeared. But when I found, I think it was it in Windows or something, where everything is up at the top. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, I did the restore and that brought it.
I got it.
Perfect.
Amazing. Thank you. Teamwork makes the dream work. Thank you.
Amazing. Okay, so I'm just going to continue and I want to show actually how I would mask this out with the pen tool, just because there's a little bit more detail here and mostly because it's not going to be as easy to grab this wing with the magic wand tool because remember the magic wand tool grabs according to color. And if I wanted to grab this wing, well, this wing's almost the same color right next to it. So it's really important for me to define this in a more clear way. So I'm going to use the pen tool. So when you use the pen tool, let's zoom in and I'll show you just, so I click and pull just ever so slightly to create this kind of like round. Then you can hit the command tool and like shape this accordingly. This will also require just like getting used to. You click and drag, And I want to say like you drag on an axis that create like the curve. So you always want to create, and then you can use your arrow tool to adjust. Use the command to get the white arrow and adjust here more. And so see how you always kind of want to follow the next point in line. So it's going to take a lot of it's just going to take a little bit of practice for you to understand this how this pen tool functions. Has anybody practiced or played with the pen tool since the first session?
I use the curvature pen tool.
The curvature pen tool, yeah. And again, like that's your preference. I don't like the curvature pen tool. Like my hand just flows quickly using this pen tool. I think it's just because I've been using it for so many years. So I've gotten really used to doing it and I can do it pretty quickly. But again, there's a curvature pen tool and there's a free form pen tool. Neither one of them work well for me, but I highly recommend that you experiment with all of them and see which one feels better to you. And then again, like these things, you can use the selected mask tool. And sometimes it's going to work out really well for you. Other times, like particularly this image, and if you see the reason this image I chose to use this pen tool is because it's not a very high contrast image, meaning that the color of the wing the kind of middle tone of the color value for the background is so similar to the color of the wing that the select and mask tool has AI built into it where it's grabbing color and it's not going to do it as perfectly as it would if like, this is like taking a pair of scissors and cutting out the edge. So that's why I decided that with this one, and then here, what we're going to end up blurring this edge or masking it. So I'm just going to I closed it there. And then I think we went over this before. I think there were some questions regarding this. So now we have this closed mask that we made with the pen tool. So now how do I get that? How do I select that now? So you do select new solid layer and it will fill in the layer that you just created and then hit OK. And then what do we have here? It has created a layer fill. So then what I do is I hit Command and select and then turn it off. And then now we have just a marquee. And then you can tell it's like very clean, much cleaner than the magic wand tool. And in my opinion, much cleaner than the selected mask tool. So I'm just going to hit Command C, Command V. Oops. And then I'm going to bring it over to this dock and hit Command V. And there we go. So I just want to, take a note of that edge. It's like a really nice clean edge. And then look at this edge. Like this edge, it needs some help. So, another one of the things that we could do with this edge, just to go over, Maria, like what I would take the eraser tool. I would make it a little smaller, maybe a little bit bigger. And like I think Robin explained with you can have a hard brush or a soft brush, and the brushes are here. You can see like soft and hard. So when you click on the hard, you can see it goes up to 100%. When you click on the soft, it goes down to 0%. So right now we have it on a small hard brush and you can like manually adjust the edge, but that might take some time. So it's either way, to get the whole wing to look really good, you're going to have to spend a little time, whether you're using it with the mask tool or the soft edge brush. It's going to require a little bit of time.
Can I ask a quick question, Lori?
Yes, please.
The pen tool that you're using, when you were doing the fine detail, you were mentioning using commands on your keyboard to really make those curves while you're doing that. So I think that's what I was getting kind of, because I was playing with it and getting kind of frustrated about. But
Okay.
that makes sense. And I mean, I can go back and look at what the recording that you said, but
Yeah, I'll go over it
because
again really
because
quickly.
those little lines when you're doing it sometimes go off into like La La Land, and to bring that line back, you know,
Yeah, I
that's
do.
using, you have to use the commands on your keyboard, correct?
Well, and let me show you. That's a good question, and I'm glad because this is just going to get a little bit more into the detail of this pen tool. I'm going to click here and
Okay.
pull and see how it just, let me get in here. See how it just, let me do that again. I want it round. So I click and drag and I bring this line out
Mm.
and then it works on, um, let me show you an example of what if I want to just create a circle and select the circle. See how when I select this point, it's flat here
Mm-hmm.
and it's flat here. So I want to use this to explain that, oh, because I added that to the other pen tool line I was making, it deleted it. I just want to explain that when you go around like a curve, think about always putting the point of the curve at the top or most round top point of the curve. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Maybe there's like some other mathematical um way or geometrical way to describe that, but I don't know it. But do you see how I just like so I click and drag, and because I pulled that line out there, then it's going to support making that perfect curved line there.
Is
Is
that
that
kind of
really
like because
con
you're eyeballing it, correct? You're sort of eyeballing that distance. Is that what you're kind of doing by pulling it out that far? Does that
Pretty
make sense?
much, but like
Okay.
I know that this mask is going to create a nice curved line and that I don't need any extra points in here. So
Got
like
it.
I'll tell you when I first started using this pen tool, I think I would have done something like this.
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Right? Yeah, that's how I started doing it. And then I stopped
Right.
doing that and realized, like, because of it, the circle, just think a circle is made up of the 4 points. Mary, go ahead. Oh, I think Mary raised her hand. So does
There you go.
that, so you kind of
I'm
have
back.
to play with it and you'll feel how you can drag and pull and make like perfect little kind of circular lines. Mary, did you have a question?
Yes, I
Go
didn't
ahead.
unmute myself. And
It's
also
okay.
my video's off, just so you know, because my computer overheats if I have my video on,
Okay.
when I have Photoshop open. So when you make that curve, did you say you hit command to pull the extra line to make that roundness in the pen tool? Or you can just
Okay.
pull it? Do you have to like hit like, what did you say, command and then pull
Let
the
me
line?
see. So you don't have to hit anything.
Okay. All right. Just
What I'm like here, I swear I'm not hitting anything. But if you want to, if you hit command, you'll get this little white arrow. But also, if you pull this out, you'll get a whole bunch of different pen tools that I don't really like to use, but I highly recommend that you play with them. You can see that there's like a delete one, a freeform one. So let's just look at the freeform one. It's kind of like the way the lasso tool works. And maybe you could use that. Maybe that works really well for you. I mean, it's not bad, but I think it's just like I've personally worked so many years using um using this point system that that's what works for me. Um, okay. Sarah?
Yeah, sorry if this is a little off track, but I'm just wondering, what are your thoughts on like those tablets that have like the stylus and stuff? Because I'm such a tactile person, and sometimes I think it would be really cool to have like um a stylus to use? Like, are those any good, or like what are your thoughts on those in general?
So I actually have a stylus screen that I can
Oh,
draw on, and
on
I
your
don't
on your
use
Mac?
it. Yeah, I don't use it. I don't like it.
Oh,
I don't like it. So I would say that like really, it's depending on your style, depending on what you like. I think there's a lot of like illustrators that use, like, I don't know if you've ever seen, there's this one ad that always pops up for me on Facebook, and she does like these amazing little characters and flowers, and she teaches how to essentially paint. So if I were painting more and doing like shadows and like I touch into that a little bit, but the majority of my work is like very collage. So it's more just about like cutting stuff out, right? So, and not all of it is cutting stuff out, but a lot of it is cutting stuff out. I personally, I just prefer this method. I've gotten used to kind of using my hand, click, and mouse. So I can see how I can absolutely 100% see how someone would prefer that. Like, and my daughter has an iPad and she had like a nice little pen, and I experimented with it for a while, and I just went back to this way, and that's just my preference. But I
And I
do, yeah, go ahead, Robin.
Sarah, pertaining to your question, when I first started doing collage work, I had my iPad and I had Procreate and I used my stylus and I really liked it. And I think I might eventually learn how to use Photoshop on my iPad so that I can use the stylus, because I'm like you and it's kind of nice to be able to like refine things. And then
yeah.
there's also, I think, I don't know what it's called, but I've seen people that will use a PC and have Photoshop, and then they'll have like a little um a drawing pad, and they'll use the
Mhm.
pencil on the drawing pad. So there's a
Mm,
lot of different options that I would explore if you're able to, because
yeah.
I liked using the pen because I felt it felt more um I don't know, just in like interactive, and I was able to have
Yeah.
more control.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really liked it. But I think that's also because I started out with it. And so I think there's pros and cons for sure.
Okay, cool. Thank you guys. Thank you both.
Yeah, of course. Um, yeah, I guess for me, it's just like I also do some watercolor and some painting. So I kind of like that's the way that I use my hand for that stuff. And I'll do some like pen and ink drawing and sketching and stuff. So for me, this is very different. It's like a different thing. And then, like I'll do hand cut paper collage. So it's, yeah, I just think like as you develop your style and you develop like a kind of a mixed media, because you will end up like using parts of drawings and parts of paintings and cutting and piecing, and it will just kind of um depend on what your preferences are.
Yeah, I could see that too. Yeah.
Okay, so going back to this, what I did here was I this is just another way to just create like different images from one image. So now we have, or different looks and styles from one image. So now we have this wing. And as you can see, I put it into this folder and dropped it down, and I have it in three pieces. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to image, adjust, hue, saturation, and I'm going to change the color of it a bit. So we're just like really getting like a different kind of look. So I want it to be a little bit more purple. Okay. And then to go back to what Maria was saying, because I want to touch into the other things that we learned. So this is to me is a little bit sharp edge, but I really like the color variation in there. So I'm going to go and I'm going to take the magic eraser tool, and I could put a mask on it to go back. And so I'm just going to fade that in. And then now all of a sudden, like, we're creating something interesting and it's starting to look different and it has different colors, but only on that spot. And then I also put this little piece on a different layer and this piece. So what happens if I adjust the color? So adjust the color there. And then I like that this little piece is on its own layer here. And then maybe we can, so what we're doing is we're really creating, like we're having control, instead of just grabbing and changing the whole image, like it's really like maintaining control to make, to create these wings and create this image and make it a really unique, right? Because as we said, like sometimes we look at Instagram and we see people doing digital collage and we see all kinds of stuff everywhere. Okay, so we're just going to make this. I'm going to actually take a copy of it in case I want to use that big later. Because remember, once you go small, you can't go back. Okay, so we have that wing. Let's bring in the other wing. Okay, I'm going to transform this whole hummingbird wing. And I think that the wings that we create in this session might be a little bit different than the ones on the demo, but I just want to. All right, so now we have these wings and these wings. Maybe we don't need, so we make these wings a little smaller. Okay. Now we can take these wings and we could fade it in. See what I use the eraser tool. I want to show you. So if you do Command and click and we get the marquee tool, remember we can just we can also just use the magic wand tool to select the inverse of a layer and then do select modify feather, which is something that Maria, you mentioned too, and that we went over. So feather, I put it at 20 pixels. I hit OK and then hit delete. And you can see it starts to feather the edge all around. And the more you hit it, the more it deletes and creates that feathery look. So that actually, that might work. But the thing that I don't like about it is that it's at the top, it's a little too feathery. And I kind of wanted to keep that. So I'm going back by hitting Command Z, Command Z. I kind of like to keep that sharp edge. So another thing that you can do is you can select, go to the feather, modify feather, and you can take your eraser tool and you can go just along this edge and it will see how it's like feathering. See how it's like removing some of the inside of that. And then if you're just going along this edge, then you can keep that top edge still sharp. So that's just another trick. But again, like you don't need to use the feather there. It really depends on like, if it's a person and you just want to feather a little piece, like it's just like little tools. But I'm just feathering this out and fading this out a little bit more. So then now I'm starting to get this like mystical creature wing that never existed before, right? Like it's completely unique. Let me see what the other wing looked like that I was doing. Okay, so we got this. Let's go to the other images of birds that we have. And well, let's take this. Let's see if the Photoshop select and mask tool, there we go. So we just did select subject. Then I'm just going to do Command C, bring it in here, Command V. It's really big. We don't need it that big. And I really only need this part. So I'm going to use the magic wand tool. And I'm just going to cut that out. Now, did you see why I didn't need to go up against the edge? Because there's nothing there. There's no background there that I'm removing from. So the only real edge that I have to focus on is that one. And then once I go over here, it can just be like, whatever, just create that space. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. So then I'm just going to do Command C, Command V. and delete that other layer. So now I'm just left with just that little piece. And then, just like work this in here, whatever which way, maybe change. The nice thing about having all of these different layers is that you can really adjust the colors. Adjust the colors and piece them together and create just really interesting. So again, I'm just like layering these things, feathering with the magic or with the eraser tool, and just blending a whole bunch of different things together. So it's essentially like a collage, but imagine if you were creating a paper collage, you wouldn't be able, like by hand, you wouldn't be able to blend and feather layers, right? So that's why digital collage is so cool. All right, so this is it's looking cool. Okay, does anyone have any questions? All right, there was another, I think, I just want to pull this, I want to pull this original wing set to see what else did I do here? Okay, so I think this piece of wing I think it came from a macaw. And I think I got it from Unsplash, and I don't think that I included it. So let's see if I can find it. It was this, I think. And I just changed it green. I think it was this. So let's download this. Again, I really like to just go and grab the original images so you can really see like the whole process, right? Not skip any steps. All right, so we've got that in our download folder. We're going to open it in Photoshop. We're going to do select subject, Command C, Command W, Command V. Let's see, I hit Command V, but I don't know where it is. I think because it's so big. Oh, I hit Command V and I hit it into a group of layers that I have turned off. So I have to pull it out and to see it. And like stuff like that happens sometimes. And then you're like, where did it go? So just see it was in this group of layers that I have turned off. I just put it back in there. It disappeared. I took it out and there it is. All right. So I only want part of this wing. I don't want the whole bird. So I'm going to use the lasso tool. Command C, Command V to get that on its own layer. And then I'm going to take the rest of it and I'm just going to trash it because I'm not going to use it. Okay. And then as you can see, like I zoom in here, I used the Photoshop select and mask tool and it left some of the blue in the background. So again, we can do multiple different things. We can just do the quick way by using the magic wand tool and getting rid of that blue. You can use a tiny little eraser. Get in there and just take the blue out there. Remember, it's all in the details. That's where the beauty of your artwork is going to be. All right, so let's try to line this up and see if we can make this merge into this wing. Oops, I put it behind. You can't see it anymore. Oh, I put it back into that group of layers. So I'm going to take that group of layers and just put it down there so it's out of our way. Okay, so I'm going to put it underneath the blue, underneath there. So now, there we go. Like line it up and see like there's a little piece sticking out. So I use the eraser tool so often. So I just like erase part of that. Now you can see that like these wings are kind of going in a different way than these wings. So that might be something that we want to address later. We can take like these little pieces and add more. Another way that I blend again is using this mask tool. So I put a mask on there and then I'm just going to fade that top part out. So now I have like this chunk of wings that's like already faded, and I can duplicate that and repeat it. So now it's really starting to come together. This red for me doesn't really go, so I want to adjust the color to make it more aligned with what I'm working on. And I like that piece. So this part I would like maybe move down a little bit, maybe make it a little smaller. But so as you can see, you can kind of go crazy. So it's like blending things together. And I did this as like a wing demo, which is cool, but you could do it with like, imagine like a doorway with like, different details in the door. Can do it with anything really. You can like add these wings to a lion or an elephant. You could put these on, make these elephant ears. But for I really just want to go over the techniques that I'm using. And I like to get really detailed with stuff. There's one image that I created. I actually want to show you. I'm going to tap into this. I didn't have this in mind for this demo, but I'm gonna show you. So I posted this a while ago. I found this dragon, right? Like the statue of a dragon. And I really wanted like an image of a dragon, but like you can't really find an image of a dragon, right? Like you can find a dragon statue, or you can find like a cheesy Shutterstock or like an AI dragon. But I was like, I really wanted to create my own dragon. So I took this and I used this as a base, and I got pieces of feather, and I may have even used this feather because it feels familiar. And I started to just like put the feathers like all over, and like I'm sure you can imagine from this like how detailed this got. And then I went in um reptile. I went in and I got like skin from something. I'm not sure what I got the skin from, but I just want to continue to show you like this like philosophy and technique of how like this has some cool texture in there, and you can just take what you want, you know? So let's open this little lizard and get in here and like look at his skin. Like that skin is rad, and like, well, maybe like just take his whole eye. Actually, the eye is really cool. So let's copy and paste the eye. It kind of looks funny, but you see where I'm going with this. Now, by using the eraser tool, you could just start to like blend. And while it looked really funky when we first placed it, like we can actually get it to look really cool, right? They're just like blending and fading things in. And like, oh, I'm really inspired to do this whole dragon all over again. And then, like you could do flower petals and like anything you want, but I just try to like just really think outside of the box of like how many different things you can create by just like blending different things together, like taking pieces from something. And like for me, that's like what alchemy is, right? It's like taking a whole bunch of stuff and making it into something new.
I love that
Um,
you have color on like a black and white.
yeah,
Just like even something just like that, or doing half of it in color, but leaving half in black and white. I mean,
yeah,
just
absolutely.
so
Black
cool.
and white mixed with color is such a great
Yeah.
combination. Or black and white with like pops of color. That always works. So here we can like take the dragon, um, remove the background. I'm just making it a little bit more higher contrast. Let's see if we do the subject, select subject. So I put, oh, did I? I want to put him on a different layer. Turn that off and then just give it another background. And then now all of a sudden, like, yeah, it's like changing drastically the image of the dragon. And then I even like got into like, I found teeth. And then like, I actually used the little like rose quartz that I found and made his teeth like little rose quartz. And then if you zoom in here, like you can see like these little petals and this skin, like this petal looks just like the shape of this petal. So you can just like take one little piece of the petal and cut it and duplicate it and turn it. And it's just keep going by like building. And see, these are the things that like on the by using a trace pad or like drawing, like I don't really see how you could do stuff like this. I mean, maybe you could, but for me, it really like my style of artwork of really like cutting and pasting and like moving things together. It didn't really support like the pen and the tablet. It didn't really support that. So for me, that is more for like an illustrator, which you could absolutely like you could be illustrating over this as well. But yeah, that's just not my particular style. Okay, so yeah, again, I would just show like, what if I wanted to take a chunk of this skin? I like how this wing demo just turned into like a dragon demo. I was sick of looking at those wings.
Can I
I
say
know.
something really cool?
Yeah, of course.
So,
Please do.
before we started, I had this dragon's blood incense that I burned,
That's
and
so
I'm like,
funny.
huh, I wonder, like that for some reason it feels connected. And now we're doing a dragon.
That's really funny.
I love it.
Yeah, there's no coincidences.
No.
You manifested it, Robin. You manifested the creation of the dragon.
I love that.
Yeah, so you can, so like this skin, I mean, it's a funky shape and it's not really working, but if you kind of just like take it and work it in there and have it like fade it as pieces, you know, it takes time and patience, like everything, but you can really create some, with time and patience, you can create some like super amazing, like original digital artwork and collage work. Like there's no limit to it. And I said, like, sometimes I get a little bit frustrated. Well, not frustrated, but sometimes I feel, well, that's been done. And, you know, like you see like a person with flowers as their head. And like I see that so much now. And um, yeah, I'm just here to tell you, there's no limit to this stuff. Like you can do whatever's been done, then you can build upon that and just keep creating. And like this could be all flowers. And of course, AI could do it like super fast. You know what I do sometimes too? Like I'll look at AI pictures or they'll come up in my feed and I'll be like, and I'll steal it. I'll steal it and I'll make it in my authentic creative process. And like I know that they've stolen from me. So just take it back. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? All
No,
right.
but I just love this. I'm loving this dragon and this and you showing this to us for some reason.
Thank
Well, not for some
you.
reason, but it feels like I don't know, I'm responding in a way. I just love everything about it.
Good. Thank you. I'm glad. So I will just go ahead and show like how I did the rose quartz teeth because it's pretty cool. And while we're at it, I don't think that I tapped into this yet. So I use this Adobe Bridge. Does anybody use Adobe Bridge?
No, but you mentioned it last time, and I'm glad you're mentioning it again. So on it.
Okay. So within the Adobe suite, if you pay the whatever monthly fee to access everything that the Adobe suite has to offer, you'll get Illustrator, InDesign, After Effects, Adobe Acrobat, you get this Adobe Bridge, and I think you get some other things too. The ones that I mentioned are the ones that I use. I don't want to like overwhelm everyone too much, but I really love Adobe Bridge, and I personally like could not live without it. And the reason that I love it is because it gives me like a visual map and menu of what I've got within my art folders. So as you can see over here, I have like right now the current art folder that I'm working on that has most of my recent art is art new 2024. But then I can go into like this older external hard drive that I have attached here, and then I have like art 2021. Now, because it wasn't loaded, it takes a minute to load. So now I have all of this artwork that I created in 2021. You can see that I have it set up here so I can see the tiles and I can see the names of each of the files. And not only that, but I can see visually. So like, for example, right now I'm looking for a little rose quartz or a crystal. And I'm just going to open this file because I could see that it was on that file. So a lot of times with my artwork, like I pick and pull elements from different older pieces of artwork. And I think like, oh, a passion flower. Like I used that in August 2021. And I'm like, I don't remember that I used it there. But with the Adobe Bridge, it was like I can see the little preview and I can see you can make it bigger if you're going blind like me. You can make it bigger so you can see like maybe these leaves, these flowers, like these wings, this eye. So you can just kind of like quickly navigate through your older art files to find little pieces that you might want to incorporate on the pieces that you're creating in the present moment. Okay. So I hope that helps you. So I'm just going to take this crystal that I got over here and I'm going to drag it and pull it over here. And as you can see, like I messed this out in a really kind of quick and rushed way. So I had that big chunk. I'm just going to make it a little smaller. And I don't even remember how I did this. So I think I just want to like take a piece of this and cut it out. So I'll do use the lasso tool, Command C, Command V, and then I have it's a little bit too big. So I'm just going to fit it in there where like one of these bigger tooth is down here. Zoom in. And then I'm just going to
That's so cool.
tool. Thank you. And then I want a little bit of a smaller eraser tool. So then it like will really look like, maybe it has to be a little bit smaller. There. And then you can just take it and, it might be cool just to have like one crystal tooth. Or we can give them like a whole grill of crystal teeth.
Crystal grill.
Kind of funny, but also kind of cool, right?
Love it. I'm obsessed.
And then again, it's just about rinsing and repeating just over and over. Like this one, I want to put at the top, the edge is a little bit more defined. So I would take a harder eraser tool and just make it work. And then going along the line, so I want to go back into this like, remember we talked about this dodge and burn tool Like if you put the burn tool a little bit there, it would just create like the effect of like there's a little shadow there, right? So you can really start to like make this look like it's like real. Make it like, because dragons with crystal teeth really exist. See
That's
how
really
like
cool.
it fades, see how it like fades in there and it gives it just like a little touch of darkness. And then when you zoom out, like it looks like, oh, that looks like it's really there, right? And we can do the same thing with the wings. Where are the wings? So yeah, you can take, for example, like this little layer under here, and maybe we want, see when I put that burn tool, the dodge and burn tool, then it just like has it, like now it appears that the other layer is maybe casting a little bit of a shadow. So when you're blending things together in this sense, it's a good idea to play with the color and play with the shadow and um the I actually only use the burn tool. Let's just do a little experimentation with what I think the sponge tool adds a little bit of like darkness too. And I always kind of thought the dodge tool did this. Oh, dodge is light. So dodge is like a little bit of a highlight. So you might want to add a highlight somewhere, like say this little piece up here. To do like a little bit of a highlight there. So just make it a little bit lighter. Which when, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but when you zoom out and you look at things, the more contrast they have from light to dark, the more they kind of pop out, right? Let's go back. So you can just see like from afar a little bit. If we get back in here and do this burn tool under here, like see how that just like pops out that wing and like, wow, what a difference that made, right? And things start to really look like 3D and real. All right. And then, of course, when I create stuff like this, I always group it and then you can just like duplicate it, edit, transform, flip. So you only have to do it once. And voila. Maybe we can just we'll bring this dragon over onto our demo. It's going to be really big when I bring it over, but let's group it all together, drag it on, and then we'll make a dragon with wings.
Hmm.
The colors all kind of go together. It's a little busy and needs some work, but you get the idea. I'm going to take this out. I don't know. It's like part of it, the statue. So then like, yeah.
Can I share something really cool again?
Yes, please do.
So my dad, who's passed away, like I've shared, we always called him the dragon. He called himself the dragon. And so now that he's gone, every time I see dragons, I think of him. And I was at my grandma's yesterday, who's his mom. And I think it's really beautiful that in this, like with so much family stuff going on, we're creating a dragon with wings because I feel like my dad is now the dragon with wings. So this is just so special. Like,
I noticed that like on your collages, like you stick your dad in there. I've
yeah,
noticed that. That's really cute.
he was an artist, and I think like sometimes I just so wish I could show him what I'm making. Because I can just so like in my mind I can picture his reactions to my art because he always loved my art so much. He was one of my
That's
biggest
so
fans of
cool.
everything that I created. And so I like to stick him in there sometimes just because I feel like he is so like energetically behind what I'm creating. And so it's cool to like just keep him alive in that way, right? So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
amazing. I
it's really
love that. Thank you for sharing that. And like this is what this is about. It's all about like creating for a purpose. And we do this and we're not using AI because we want to go through the process of creation and it's supposed to be meaningful. Or, what's the point if it's not meaningful, if you don't feel something?
yeah.
Um, so thank you for sharing that, Robin.
Thank you.
And I think I shared before, I have I put this little silhouette of my children in so much of my artwork. It just like, it's usually hidden in little places. I'm trying to find a piece, but I'm sure you've all seen it before. Just Oliver and Claudia. And that's really meaningful to me. I'm actually just going to pop open a couple of, I want to show you, it's 11:11, make a wish. I want to show you, while we still have 20 minutes and we got through all of that fast, I want to show you a little bit more, just like basic things, like how I created these moons, because, moons are something that a lot of people incorporate into their offerings, the half moon, the full moon, the new moon, the dark moon. So I want to show you, oh, before I did that, I really like this wing better. So I just wanted to see what it would be like if I took this wing and replaced the back wing there that I didn't really love so much. It wasn't really working for me as well. So I'm just going to remove that back white ring. Anyway, the document has to be a little bit bigger, I think, as the dragon grows. And I'm just going to take the background and make it bigger, even though remember, you're not really supposed to do that, but I'm not going to be printing this. But this actually turned out pretty cool. I'm really glad that the wing demo turned into a dragon demo. Of course, like I see this, it's kind of messy in here. I would go in and like really fix this up and have this, there's a lot that you can do with this. And I hope you're inspired to create something like, maybe it's I did a lion with like floral hair. Maybe it's like a deer with antlers that are like stems of trees and leaves. And I'm sure you'll think of many different things that you can do, too many things to be able to ever possibly execute all of them. Okay, so I just wanted to jump over to this like basic file because it's kind of following along the same guidelines of like the feathering. So this moon, I'm not sure where I got this moon. I've been working with the same moon for a long time. You can get a moon on Unsplash. I know, Mary, you were just working with a moon. I'm not sure where you got your moon that you made like purple. Moon's kind of small.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know why it went to moon cake. I don't think I put moon cake in. That's so funny. Isn't that like a Japanese thing? A moon cake? Isn't it? Okay. So anyway, you're on, you guys can find your own moon picture, but I just want to show you, you're going to get all different kinds of moons. Here, if you go on Shutterstock, you can license like a really good picture of a moon. I don't know if you have an extra special telescope camera, maybe you can go out and take your own photo of a moon. I've tried. It's hard. Okay, so what I wanted to show you here is how I created the different phases of the moon. So this is the regular moon. This I did the half moon. And how did I do it? What I did, that's not even a half moon. That's like a 3/4 moon. Or like a gibbous moon. Okay, so what I do is I duplicate right on top a different layer of the same moon, and then I do image adjust, hue saturation, and then I take the darkness down. I take the lightness down. So I like to see a little bit of the texture coming through. So I've got that. So now I've got a dark moon sitting on top of a light moon, and you can see over here. And then if I put a mask on it and do just a regular, I can do it like that. Or if I wanted to do it in a more circular way, there's all different ways that you can do it. Like you can draw your little circle and do command inverse, delete. You can also do the select modify feather. So you can feather it and see that it creates like a little bit of a softer edge. See how this one is a harder edge? Go ahead, Robin.
I'm wondering, what is the keyboard shortcut for command inverse?
Oh, that's a good question. Shift Command I. And then you can also do
Okay.
select inverse there. Okay, so with this moon, I actually, how do I want to do this? I want there to be more of the moon and like, so I actually want it to be like that, except I want it to be really feathered. So there's a whole bunch of different ways. I'm going to make it, there's a whole bunch of different ways that you can play with the moon to make it, to create like different phases of the moon. I'm hitting Command Z because I want to, okay. And then, you can just take your eraser and put it on a soft brush, make it larger. And you can just like erase a little bit. Like that's definitely a moon. So that's how I created those moons. I do one layer of the regular color and then I bring another layer on and make it darker. And then I fade that dark layer out. And then these other golden moons at the bottom, same thing. I just adjusted the color. Sometimes there's like a blue moon or a strawberry moon. So you can just like kind of adjust the hue and saturation to make a different color. So a blue moon. Okay, so are there any questions with that? Moons are fun to play with. Go ahead, Robin.
So with the circular marquee tool,
Mhm.
how do I know? Like, I guess sometimes I'll try to make a circle around the whole image.
Uh-huh.
Where's the good spot to put the cursor so I know how big it's going to be, or like to make it exactly the moon? Like for
Right,
example,
like what I just did.
yeah, so like my boyfriend has the camera that takes like really, really good pictures of the moon, and I actually had him take a couple pictures of the moon for me recently.
Nice.
So I'm trying to use the circular marquee tool to do this. But then I guess sometimes I don't know how to get the exact size.
Totally. You know what I would do, actually? That's why I think we covered this a little bit. I would actually, if I was going to try to get the exact size of a circle, so you can use the circular marquee tool and you can go to what you think is the center, or you can measure it out with the guidelines that we went over and go from the center. I didn't measure it out properly and hit Shift Option Command will always take you out from the center and keep constrained proportions. However, if I really wanted to get a perfect circle around this moon and I say there was a background on it, I would do same keyboard shortcuts, Shift Option Command, and from the center. This is not, where did it go? This is
That makes a
not,
copy for me.
you
When I
must
do
be
shift,
not, you have to hit them all at the same time. I'm sorry, you have to click on the circular shape tool, click,
okay.
hold down, then hit all of the keyboard
Oh, I see. Got you.
notes,
Yeah,
and then
that's
draw.
a lot
And
for
then
my
you
finger.
can see, I know. And then you can see, like, I'm just going to make it red so you can see it. Then you can do Command T, and then you can adjust accordingly so it's perfect. And then you want to select that layer. So when you're
Got
working with a shape, if you're working with a circular shape, you have your circular shape. So you have it on a different layer, and you have the capacity and the ability to resize it. Whereas when you're working with the elliptical circle, you know, once the elliptical circle isn't like permanent, right? It's just like adjusting and tweaking a layer. So it's not something that you can save unless you do layer fill solid color. I did a gradient by accident. So now I have like a gradient fill on that layer. I did a gradient too, but I just probably confused you. So I just wanted to prove a point that if you did create the elliptical tool and you were able to get it perfect, you know, just to keep that shape, you would want to do a solid color. So, and then it creates a color fill. So then you kind of have that to work with. And then you can select that and you have that as your base. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So is there any really, and you might have covered this already, but is there any really real difference then between doing that or doing the ellipse tool? Because if you use the ellipse tool, or if you do the marquee tool and then you just fill the layer, is that the same as doing the ellipse tool?
So the thing is that you're going to have more capacity. So you can draw your little shape, ellipse shape that's not the marquee, and then you can resize it and play with it. Whereas when you're doing an ellipse with the marquee tool, you don't have that flexibility. Like you can't draw it and stop. So this gives you a little bit more flexibility to kind of fine tune it, and you don't have to be doing it all in one quick motion and to be exact. So it depends on like how quick you are. You know, I would say
Cool.
having the shape tool is just a tool to kind of slow things down and have a little bit more control.
That makes sense.
Right? Okay.
Thank you.
All right, of course. Does anybody else have any questions around these moon phases? The moon phases? All right.
I have a quick, did you get those off of Unsplash, or I'm sure NASA has some good moon pictures.
I'm sure they do. I think I may have licensed a moon off of Shutterstock, and then I realized I actually put gold circles on top of these
Oh,
moons.
cool.
So I made these moons myself. I try to be really creative in making my own assets, because then that kind of like gives my work this like specific look. Like I have a sun that I made that's like my sun. And I have some planets that I have a whole set of planets that I made with like gemstones and like crystals. And they're my planets. So it's a fun thing to think about, like whatever you're going to be working on, if you can build up a little assets folder, like a style guide almost.
Yeah, that's great. Um, I have a quick question, a little off of this. I was just wondering if you could show how you file and group your layers.
Absolutely.
I know
Yes,
that's sort of but it's so helpful, to have that. I mean,
it
I'm realizing
is.
how important it is to do that. And
Yeah, look at this. Look at all these layers over here. It's getting
I know.
crazy. So, and it is really important too, if you're creating like like labels for someone, or even if for example, right now I'm working on some artwork that's being animated, and I'm working with an animator, and he would go absolutely crazy if I didn't have all of the layers. Like it's helping him do his job so much quicker, and I'm paying him hourly. So it's benefiting me to have to have all of the layers labeled by exact name, like right wing, left eye. Okay. So I'm just going to show you really quickly, and then Robin, I'll get to your question. So I put these little like forehead chunks of like skin, forehead chunks of skin. um, but I know that they're all four, so I'm just going to group them all together. I just click on one and then I hit shift, click on another, and then hit shift and see how they're all highlighted now. Then I can just go Command G and it grouped them together. And I'm going to call it forehead skin. I could say so many jokes right now, but I'm not going to. Okay, I'm sorry. I can't help it. Okay. All right, forehead skin. Robin, go ahead.
It's just a very basic question. So I know that when you're zooming in and out, the command like minus and plus, but I'm just wondering, there are so many times, because I do prefer to use my trackpad on my laptop. There are so many times where when I'm zooming in and out with my trackpad, it will make the it'll make the box like slanted.
Oh,
and then
I know what you mean.
Is there a shortcut to bring it back to straight so that they don't, because whenever it's slanted, there's like these white.
I don't know why that happens, and that has happened to me before. I don't touch the trackpad on my computer. I have a keyboard that's separate.
Yeah, okay.
And I keep it down here. Yeah. So are you using everything with just a trackpad and you're not using a mouse and a keyboard?
Yeah, and I like it. Because I have my keyboard and I've tried a mouse.
I feel like it's because you're young.
I feel, yeah, maybe. It's funny. I watched like a TikTok video of a digital artist or a graphic designer, and they're like, "Are you a normal graphic designer or are you a psycho?" And using the trackpad. I just feel like it kind of goes with like, because I got used to using the pen, so I feel like using my finger with the trackpad, I feel like I have more control over it versus a mouse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's your choice. I have a really, I've been doing this for a lot of years, and I will sit at the computer for many long hours. Right now, I have 2 wooden boxes. I have 2 screen displays, and I have wooden boxes where my computers sit up, and I'll actually even lower my seat a little bit. So my head is never like looking down and I'm never hunched. Like I always want to be kind of like looking up and sitting back, and my hands. Actually, my hands are wrong right now. Your hands are supposed to be like, your hands are never supposed to be like too low or too high. And when you start to spend 8, sometimes 12 hours a day, depending on what project you're working on, you need to find comfort, right? Because it's what's going to like get you through. And I know for me, it's been like a game changer having like a really comfortable seat. I have a stand, so sometimes I'll even like stand up, and I'll be here working standing up, and it really helps me to be able to alternate from sitting and standing. So I don't know, Robin, if you're just like sitting all the time with your trackpad, like on the couch, but you're young, so.
But I don't think it'll be sustainable, because there's
It's
also
not sustainable.
times where like my hands will hurt and my neck will hurt from looking down, and then I'm like slouching. So
Yeah.
I think it's just one step. I am wanting to look at I need a new computer, because mine is just it's so slow, and it's getting to the point where I can like hardly start it up. So I might ask this on the group, but is there a Mac laptop that you would recommend for using Photoshop?
Yeah, I use a MacBook Pro. And I wouldn't worry about the size. You can get the smallest one. The size doesn't matter because you're going to connect it to I have an HP monitor. You don't have to have I just got HP because it's what I could get here in Mexico. Like probably when I'm in California, I'll probably have like a sweeter setup with but it's just like it was easy for me to get this before I had like an Apple screen. But I have a little adapter where I connect it, so I'm working with 2 big screens. And it's just like the more comfortable you are. And then you have like your emails and your Zoom window on one, and then you have the artwork on another. And it just really makes it nice. And then you're like excited to go and do it because you have like this sweet setup.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
That's my experience with it. It's like get yourself set up and feel super comfortable, and you'll be more inclined to create, and then when you start serving clients, and clients can be really demanding. They can send, and I'll tap into this. I'm not sure what everyone's intention is with this class. If you have the intention of going forth and serving clients, but clients can be really demanding. They can send really detailed emails, and I personally like to have the email on one side and the artwork on another side. It's does a service to your work and your sanity. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Okay, Mary Ellen.
I just have a really quick question.
Okay.
What is the difference between opacity and fill layer?
Okay.
Like, because I was playing around with my moon. I'll post what I made yesterday, but I didn't see too much of a difference, so I was just wondering.
Okay. Yeah, that's a really good question too. And I just want to create and keep creating this dragon because I love it. That's a good question. And somebody had asked it in a previous lesson that I
Oh,
had
sorry.
done. No, not in this, in my summer school. And I remember, what did we find? So a fill. So we've got like the opacity, right? Okay. So I created this circle, and we've got like this opacity, and we're bringing this opacity down. And then here we have fill, right? And it seems that it's doing the same thing. And I think that essentially it is the same thing. I think that the difference, for some reason, I can't remember. I think it has something to do with when you go to print. Something with printing. Like, I'm not sure if you'll have to worry about it right now, but I'm gonna research that. And I know I had to research it before, and I don't know why I don't remember it. So it couldn't have been like that important or significant of a difference. But I think it has something to do with like the print, going to print with something.
Okay. I probably, who knows in the future if I'll ever have to print like some of the digital work, but like good to know. I didn't know
Yeah,
for
I mean, it
myself
is.
right now if it makes a difference.
Yeah, it's a really valid question because they're right next to each other. And you can even go like, so we'll put the dragon layer. So it's the same. It appears to be doing the same thing.
Right.
So I'm going to research that again and post it in the Facebook group. And I'm a little disappointed in myself because I already did this, and I'm like, why do I not remember? But it's a very valid question. Thank you for asking.
Thanks.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions before we wrap up today's session? Okay, so just, Robin, do you have another question?
No, I just forgot to put my hand down. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm going to be traveling, and just the way that it's working out, I'm taking 3 weeks. So we're not having lessons for 3 weeks. But I think it's good because it will give you all a chance to kind of incorporate all the stuff, catch up on the videos, and then like the last couple sessions, like we can really like dial in on wherever anyone's like needing some extra attention or has questions. But I plan on being super active in the Facebook group during the next 3 weeks. I highly encourage you all to just like keep creating, because it's gonna, you guys are my star students this session, and I can tell you're all really devoted. And if you keep up with just like, participating and creating stuff, it's gonna be, it's gonna make a lot of difference in your Photoshop career. Okay, go ahead, Robin.
I'm getting better with the hand up. I'm just wondering if anyone of this group would be interested in meeting, even like, doesn't have to be every Wednesday, but even meeting like not next week, but the week after, and just do like a co-working space so that we can all kind of work together. I like body doubles. I like to work and talk and stuff. So I'm just wondering if any of the ladies that are here would want to still like log on at 9, and like, would it be possible through this Zoom? Like, how would that be an option?
I have a
Absolutely.
Zoom account. I have a Zoom account.
Yeah,
So
I
I
think
could
you would
just
have to
share in
use
the
one
page.
of.
We
we could use a Facebook group and like figure it out, and I could send us a
Yeah,
link.
Yeah,
that would
if
be
anyone would be
awesome.
interested in that, I think that would be really fun just to kind of like keep the ball rolling a little bit and be
Absolutely.
able to bounce ideas off of each other and stuff like that.
Yeah. And thank you for that. I thank you for that, Robin. That would be great if you could all do that. And any questions you have, I will answer them as quickly as possible on Facebook, on the Facebook group. And I'll be out taking pictures of statues and all kinds of cool things in Japan. And hopefully I will come back more inspired and be able to guide us through the finish line with this course.
I
And
love the
then,
statue idea. I love this, like you took this piece and it's really inspiring because not, like you said, not using an AI thing, but look at what's out there. I mean, look
yeah,
what you can do.
absolutely. Absolutely. You can do anything
Yeah.
with collage. It's like endless. It's endless. And I love how, once you start to really like open up your creativity and think of things, it just like keeps flowing. And then like when you get out there in the world and see things, like you just realize all of the things you can do that you don't even have the ability to do it all. And then I feel like you go from not knowing what to do or like what should I make? When I was a kid, I used to always say, Mom, what should I draw? What should I draw? What should I
Mm.
draw? And my daughter says it to me. And I'll say like the most random things to her. She always looks at me like, what? I'm like, you can draw anything. But
That's
now I
really
never feel
cool.
like that. I'm never like, what should I draw? What should I make? Because there's always something to make. Um, okay, well, I'm gonna wrap it up now. Thank you everyone for coming. I'll see you on the Facebook group and please, post questions there, and that would be great if you can all meet next week. And I
So
think a lot. So
November is the
yeah.
next. Okay.
November is the next one. So think a lot about like this is a really good opportunity to take the time to think about like what do you want to do? Like, do you want to do a style guide for your brand? Do you want to do an IG grid? Do you want to like if there like an Oracle deck or an Oracle card that you want to create? So then in the next lessons, like we've covered a lot. So there's going to be a lot of room for me to like personally address your, your desires and your questions. So take advantage of that. Okay.
When
Thank
will
you,
you be
everyone.
sending out, sorry, when
Oh,
will
A
you be
great
sending
trip, Lori.
thank you, Maria.
when will you be sending out the link for the 1 hour thing to sign up for? Will that be after your
Oh, I'm gonna send it out before I leave, and I'll be doing scheduling the calls in November.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah, so that would be good too. Or then I was thinking, I don't know. Yeah, I'll be scheduling them. We'll be able to schedule them from November through to December. So it's up to you if you want to have your call before the end of this course or after as kind of like a summary. But yeah, we'll try to get
Sounds
it
good.
in. I know, I'm
Amazing.
really excited about
Yes.
that too. I'm
Amazing.
excited to connect with each one of you. Okay, everyone, have a great week. Have a great rest of October, and I will see you on November, I think it's November 3rd.
Have so much
Right,
fun.
Good trip.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. It's November 6th. I will see you on
Yeah.
November 6th.
Great.
Okay.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.